It's Monday. The alarm goes off at 6:14. You don't even let it finish. You already know what's coming. You get dressed in the dark, grab something that used to be coffee, and you sit in traffic for 40 minutes watching the same brake lights you watched last Monday. You get to your desk. Your boss drops something on you before you've even logged in. You work through lunch because you're behind on something that wasn't your fault to begin with. And at the end of the day, you drive home, you're too drained to be present with the people you actually care about. And somewhere around 10 p.m., you check your bank account. Not because you want to, but because you have to. And the number is smaller than it should be. And here's the thing, Tom, that's not a character flaw. That's not laziness. That's not you being bad with money. That is the default setting of modern life. And the reason most people never escape it isn't because they don't work hard enough. It's because nobody ever handed them the map. Here's what actually breaks through, though. In the United States right now, 37% of adults cannot cover a $400 emergency without borrowing money or selling something. Sit with that number. That's not people who are homeless. That's working adults with jobs, people doing what they were told to do, living one flat tire away from a financial spiral. And yet, every single week, there are people in roughly the same income bracket who are building real wealth, who have an emergency fund, growing investments, multiple income streams, who are not rich, not yet, but who are no longer fragile. What separates those two groups? That's the actual question. And the answer? Look, it's not luck. It's not a higher salary. It's not a windfall from a rich uncle. It's a sequence, a specific order of decisions made consistently over time. And that's exactly what we're going to go through today, the full system, step by step, not vague advice, the actual mechanics. Let's start with the first thing most people get completely wrong, which is the difference between income and wealth. Because these two things are not the same. And confusing them is why a lot of high earners end up just as broke as low earners. Income is what comes in. Wealth is what stays. And the variable that determines whether you build wealth isn't the size of your paycheck. It's the gap between what comes in and what you actually keep. There's a reason studies on financial independence consistently show that savings rate predicts financial security far better than income level does. Someone earning $55,000 a year who keeps 20% of it is building more wealth than someone earning $120,000 who spends $118 of it. The paycheck is not the thing to optimize. The gap is the thing to optimize. That reframe is the foundation of this entire system. Once you see money that way, not as something to manage month to month, but as a gap to intentionally widen, everything else starts to make more sense. Now, here's the structural shift that makes this actually work. Stop thinking in years. A 2-year goal sounds either motivating or overwhelming depending on the day, and either way, it's too vague to act on. What actually drives progress is 90-day cycles. Research out of Dominican University found that people who write down specific goals are significantly more likely to achieve them. And that effect compounds when you attach accountability and review periods. The 90-day cycle does exactly that. Every 3 months, you sit down with 3 questions. Where am I right now? What's the one financial lever I'm going to pull this cycle? What does winning this cycle actually look like in numbers? 2 years is 8 90-day cycles, 8 chances to set a target, act on it, review what worked, and adjust. That structure turns a vague 2-year transformation into 8 concrete 90-day sprints. And when you frame it that way, the math becomes manageable fast. If you redirect $300 a month, one 90-day cycle, that's $900 with a real purpose. Multiply that by 8 cycles, and you're starting to build something that compounds. That's the operating system. Everything else runs on top of it. But before you can redirect money, you have to know where it's going. And most people, honestly, most people have no idea. Not a rough idea. No idea. They know the big stuff: rent, car payment, groceries, utilities, but the rest of it just disappears. And if you've ever looked at your bank statement at the end of the month genuinely confused about where a few $100s went, you're not alone. That is statistically normal. Here's the move. Before you change anything, track everything for 30 days. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to be better. Just observe. 1 month of clean data will show you things that shock you. The average American household leaks something close to $18,000 a year on what researchers call low utility spending. That's spending that doesn't make your life meaningfully better. Subscriptions you forgot about, convenient spending at the wrong moments, impulse purchases that felt good for 20 minutes. 18 grand. That's your entire monthly rent every single month for a year and a half, just gone. When you do your 30-day audit, you're going to find 3 buckets. Essential spending, the things that genuinely need to happen. Intentional spending, things you chose, things that actually improve your life and you'd choose again. And unconscious spending, the third bucket, the one full of stuff you didn't really decide on, it just happened. The goal isn't to eliminate bucket 3 through willpower. The goal is to just make it visible. Because once you can see it, you can shrink it without misery. And that freed up money, even if it's $200 a month, is the raw material for everything that comes next. If you're getting something out of this, by the way, hit subscribe, drop a like. This is the kind of stuff I cover every week, and it takes time to put together. I'd appreciate it. Okay, so you've got a gap. Now, what do you do with it? This is where most people make the second big mistake. They put it in a savings account and feel good about themselves. And I'm not going to shame that. Having a savings account is better than not having one. But here's what you need to understand. A savings account earning 0.5% interest while inflation runs at 3 to 4% is not saving money. It's losing it slowly. Every year that money sits there, it buys less. The wealth building mechanism is compound interest, and the earlier you start, the more violent the math works in your favor. If you invest $200 a month starting at 25 in a diversified index fund averaging 8% annual returns, you're looking at around $700,000 by retirement. Wait until 35 to start the exact same contribution, you end up with roughly $300,000. Same habit, same discipline. 10 years of delay costs you $400,000. That number isn't meant to scare you, Tom. It's meant to make the cost of waiting completely concrete. Index funds specifically, not individual stocks, not actively managed funds. Why? Because 92% of actively managed funds underperform their benchmark index over a 15-year period, meaning the professional fund managers, with all their research and resources, cannot consistently beat a simple fund that tracks the market. The math on this is overwhelming. The sequence for where to put money matters too. First, contribute to your 401k up to your employer's match. That match is an instant 50 to 100% return on that money. It is the highest returning investment you will ever have access to. After the match, max your Roth IRA if you qualify, $7,000 per year, after tax money growing completely tax-free. After that, taxable brokerage accounts. That's the order. Work through it in sequence. And one more thing on this, start before you feel ready. Waiting until you understand everything, until the market feels stable, until life settles down. That waiting is the most expensive decision you'll make. The learning happens while the money is moving, not before. Now let's talk about income, because here's the uncomfortable truth. One income stream isn't just limiting, it's fragile. One employer, one paycheck, one point of failure for your entire financial life. And look, that's not a judgment. That's how most people are set up because that's what we were taught to do. Get a good job, keep it. Hope it keeps you. But right now, 45% of Americans have a side income of some kind. The average extra earnings? Around $810 a month. That's not life-changing overnight, but $810 a month redirected into investments over 2 years is, not nothing. That's nearly $20,000 invested before returns in 24 months. The specific options that are actually real right now: freelancing in your existing professional skills on platforms like Upwork or TopTal, where rates for experienced writers, designers, developers, marketers range from $30 to $150 an hour. Selling digital products, the templates, guides, courses. where the margin is 100% after creation, tutoring or coaching in areas where you already have expertise, with rates typically between $30 and $80 an hour. Content creation, longer runway but real upside, where the revenue streams are multiple: ads, sponsorships, products. The time framework: 5 hours a week in month 1, just learning, just setting up; 8 hours a week in month 2, actively generating. By month 3, you double down on whatever's actually producing results and drop what isn't. The discipline that makes this work is non-negotiable. That extra income does not become lifestyle. It goes directly into investments, because the trap that gets people is earning more, spending more, and ending up in exactly the same gap they started with. Here's the section nobody talks about, though. Financial education isn't a nice to have. It's a structural advantage that compounds alongside your money. The TIAA Institute ran a financial literacy study and found that people with high financial literacy accumulate substantially more wealth. Not just because they make smarter decisions, but because they recognize opportunities that are invisible to people without the knowledge to see them. Every concept you understand becomes a decision-making tool. Every decision-making tool changes your outcomes. Over years, that compounds. The habit is simple: 20 to 30 minutes a week, one piece of quality financial content. That's it. And the specific areas to start building knowledge in: taxes and how to legally minimize them, because most people overpay significantly; the difference between good and bad debt and how to use leverage intentionally; how credit scores actually work and how to optimize yours in 90 days; index fund mechanics and why they work; and basic financial statements: income statement, balance sheet, just enough to understand what you're looking at. You don't need to become a financial advisor. You need enough fluency that you stop making expensive decisions out of ignorance. And then there's the one most people resist the most. Your environment is a financial decision. The research in the Journal of Consumer Research is clear. Spending habits are highly contagious. Who you spend time with shapes what you spend money on, what feels normal, what feels aspirational. This isn't about abandoning your friends. It's about being intentional. The practical move is additive, not subtractive. Don't cut people out of your life. Add people in. Networking events in industries you want to grow into. Online communities centered on financial independence or entrepreneurship. Virtual mentors through books and podcasts from people who've built what you want to build. Every conversation you have with someone who's further along the path you're on recalibrates what feels possible. Environment shapes habit. Habit determines outcome. It's not complicated. It's just underestimated. So let's zoom out. The full 2-year arc, months 1 through 3, awareness. You complete the 30-day spending audit, you open the right accounts, you make your first 401k contribution, you start tracking. This is the foundation building phase, and it feels slow. But it's not. It's the most important phase because everything else runs on what you build here. Months 4 through 6, momentum. Your spending audit has revealed the leaks. You've closed the obvious ones. Your side income experiment is producing its first real results. You've redirected that money into your Roth IRA. You can see the numbers moving for the first time. Months 7 through 12, growth. Multiple income streams are active. Your emergency fund is funded, 3 to 6 months of expenses, sitting somewhere safe. Your investments are growing. You've completed 2 or 3 90-day cycles, and you know how to run the process now. The system is no longer something you're figuring out. It's something you're operating. Months 13 through 24, transformation. The compounding starts to become visible. Vanguard data shows that investors who stay consistent through market cycles, not timing the market, just staying in, accumulate dramatically more than those who don't. You're not those people who panic and pull out. You understand why the system works and you trust it. By month 24, the picture looks like this. You have an emergency fund, you have a growing investment account, you have at least one income stream beyond your job, and you have a system that runs without requiring constant stress and willpower to maintain. The gap between month 1 and month 24 isn't magic. It's 730 days of small, deliberate decisions, compounded. Before you go, drop a comment and tell me, what's the first financial move you're going to make this week? You have the information now, the whole map, the 90-day cycle, the spending audit, the investment sequence, the income strategy, the education habit, the environment shift. It's all here. None of it requires a higher salary than you have right now. None of it requires you to have started earlier than today. It requires you to make one specific first decision and then follow the sequence. 2 years from now, you either ran the system or you didn't. That Monday morning, the alarm, the traffic, the boss, the paycheck that disappears, that can still be your life in 24 months, or it can be the before picture, the one you describe to someone else when you explain how you change things. The map's been handed over, Tommy. What happens next is entirely up to you.